in a minute or two. This lesson is on inverse proportion problems. So if you watch the direct proportion problems video, you'll know that I use this table, and we can use the same table but just slightly differently to solve an inverse proportion question. So this is a typical question. It takes 4 men 3 hours to build a wall. How long would it take 3 men? Okay, so what we know before we begin, we need to decide whether we're talking about inverse or direct. And if we're talking about people building walls, our logic tells us that if you have less men, it's going to take more time. So therefore, if one thing is decreasing while the other is increasing, it must be inverse. So in this case, we're going to have the men and the hours. So we put in what we know. 4 men take 3 hours. Now we want to know how long it would take for 3 men. So we're going to go on the side of the men. We're going to put a 3 at the bottom. So we're going to go down to 1 and up to 3. So to get from 4 to 1, we would divide by 4. To get from 1 to 3, we're going to times by 3. Now because it's inverse, we do the opposite on the other side. So rather than doing the same like we do with the direct, we're going to multiply by 4 this time. That will give us 12. And then we're going to divide by 3, which means we've got 4. So it's going to take 3 men 4 hours. Now this is another example here. Inverse proportion, when we're talking about 14 litres of water last a group of 4 friends 2 days. If another friend joined them, how long would the water last now? Now the 14 is actually a red herring. You don't really need that in the question. It could say a bottle of water, because it's not actually important in this question. So we've got friends and we've got days. So 4 friends last 2 days. If another friend joined them, how long would the water last now? Okay, so if we have another friend, that will now be 5 friends. So we put that at the bottom there, and we're going to go down to 1 and up to 5. So to get from 4 to 1, we divide by 4. To get from 1 to 5, we're going to times by 5. And we do the opposite on the other side. So rather than dividing by 4, we times by 4. Keep that on the calculator. This time it's not going to be so nice. And then we're going to do the opposite of times 5, which is divide by 5. And that ends up with 1.6. So for 5 friends, it would actually only last 1.6 days.